It is Monday, May 8th. Welcome to yet another edition of the Don Mafia Show. Don Mafia Live, your host, Dan Mitchell. Everybody, we have an amazing show for you. This Monday, we have none other than TD Finstock coming on here, and he's going to give you exactly what he thinks the Miami Dolphins' final record projection is going to be for the 2023 season. Then we're going to dive in a bit more into exactly some of the logistics that is behind the now finalized and official Buffalo Bills Stadium. And then a bonus story as well. Sounds like that the Commanders are at it again. There's yet another tampering issue with Andrew Luck. All right. And Jim Irsay sent out a very, very clear message. We have my good buddy Derek from the Bring the Juice podcast coming on a little bit later on this show as well. Say that you're new here. My name is Dan Mitchell. I am an avid member of the Bills Mafia. I regularly put out videos about the Buffalo Bills and the NFL in general. I am now doing a show Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. EST. So if you're new here, make sure you set your notifications, ladies and gentlemen, because it is every single Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. EST. One final announcement. I did want to put this out there. There were a couple of people in the live chat earlier today or earlier a couple of days ago that were like, Dan, you don't have a membership option for your YouTube channel. I do now. As a matter of fact, some really good perks right between shout outs. And then also some of you will have the opportunity of coming on my Wednesday night Q&A segment at 7 p.m. EST. If that's something you want to do, help support the channel, you are more than welcome to do it. You've seen my record prediction. To be completely honest with ourselves, but we haven't seen the Miami Dolphins, our divisional rival. So I'm not going to do it just in case I sound like a hater, maybe some of the negative bias. I can't do that. So I have to bring on one of my favorite people of all time, co-host of the AFC East Roundtable, TD Finstock. What's going on, my friend?
What's up, baby? Let's go.
Hey, how you feeling, by the way? I heard you were sick.
I'm still a little under, man. I'm just trying to push through, bro, honestly.
What was it, like a flu, COVID? What was it?
It's something called the rhinovirus.
What's the rhinovirus?
It's an accelerated common cold. I was just the first time I ever heard of it. Both of my sons have strep. My youngest daughter, 6-month-old, she has the rhinovirus, and the doctor said you probably have what she have because I'm negative for strep and COVID and all of that.
Really?
So, and they said it's just a common cold, but it's just a little more accelerated.
It's just, well, damn. Well, you've been out for the count for the past couple of days, right?
Yeah, man. And now I actually feel a lot better. I just still got my cough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good though, man. But I am interested because since I've been out, I wasn't able to hear your predictions.
Oh,
so
you did?
What is the record, at least, that you came up with for the Bills?
For the Bills, man, I mean, you're just going to have to give me that ad revenue, baby. You're going to have to watch figure it out, man. No. I got us. Okay. Well, I'm honestly hoping for the TD Sports Talk today. I did have us splitting with the Jets, the Dolphins. So I had us splitting with the Jets and the Dolphins. That's 2 L's. I had us losing to the Eagles, and then I had us losing to the Chargers, surprisingly enough. So I had us going 13-4, and then us winning the division. So I'm not sure if you're on, sort of top of that game, but that's exactly where I had us at this point.
Delusional.
I mean, honestly, I think that term by itself is a tremendous segue. And I mean, I know you're a busy guy. I know you're continuously streaming. Now you're recovering from the rhinovirus. So, but we got to go through this, man. I'm sure that, like me, you are absolutely thrilled for when the schedule finally does get released. I believe it's on Thursday, but
yes.
we do know our opponents, right? And I mean, I know a lot of this. We were talking about this on the AFC East Roundtable last week, where a lot of it just has to do with how the schedule is set up, whether or not that we're just going to have an absolute Death Valley run of some of the best teams in the entire league back to back to back to back. But for sake of time, I know you're a busy guy. I wanted you to sort of look at this. I'm sure you've already done some content on this already, but what exactly are you looking at as far as stacked up competition I know the 53-man roster hasn't been set for any team as of right now, but I think what I want you to do is rather than go through each and every single game, I would love to hear your projected losses of like games that
I
you're
will.
not necessarily excited about. And which
Well, it'll make you feel good, and I hope you don't win 13 games. But I got us at a best case scenario 12-5.
okay.
So that puts us behind you guys if it works out that way. But I had us splitting with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
So that's one victory, one loss. So one loss will come by way of the Bills.
So would you have that in Miami or would you have it in Buffalo as the L?
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Okay.
I didn't even consider it. I mean, of course, I'm gonna say the L is on the road if I had to pick, but I just feel like we'll split with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, you and I are under the same impression there. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I also have us splitting with the New York Jets.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's 2 losses.
Okay.
A little bit of a shocker here. I have us taking an L by the Broncos.
The Broncos.
New team, Sean Payton there. Their offense was the issue. The defense, I mean, let's think about the first 8 games of the season. Their offense didn't give up more than 12 points a game.
Yeah, no, it was absurd.
And they lost almost every one of them. That's absurd. That's crazy. But yes, Broncos. Okay. Next up, I have us losing to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
And lastly, I don't see it on here though. I have us losing to the Chiefs. Oh, there they go. There they go. I see them now. And I have the Chiefs loss.
The Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so a 12-5 final record for TD Finstock. Wow, this is interesting.
And the only possible swap is us sweeping the Jets and losing one to the Cowboys.
Losing one of the Cowboys. Got it. Well,
it's just the way. No, you know what? I got to backtrack on that. I would actually say, losing to the Cowboys and beating the Chiefs would be the swap if it had to go down that way, because the way the Cowboys play defense, it's not good for us. Okay. The way the Jets play defense, it's not good for us. Buffalo, you just split, because it's going to be tough regardless. Yeah, Eagles, the Eagles game, that's going to be tough for anybody. And I think in our situation, we're also on the road. I don't like that. Sleeper games that we could lose, but I'm going to factor in as a W. Games like the Chargers on the road.
Yeah.
Those are tough ones, but I'm going to give us the victory. Baltimore on the road, tough one, but I'm going to give us the victory. And Washington, people don't realize they had the number 3 defense last year.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't generate any offense. That's why you got this Andrew Luck stuff I know you're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
Coming out. Which is shocker to me. That's very interesting, but that's neither here nor there. But those are my 5, and with some alternates potentially.
Okay, got it. Now, I mean, there's no question that, and plus, listen, outside of the AFC's roundtable, I try to be as non-biased as possible on my own, at least. But and so the Dolphins got better this offseason, right? I mean, outside of the offensive line, still some questions whether or not that Tua can play a full season. With the additions like Jalen Ramsey, Fangio calling the shots, you have 5 losses on this right now. What do you think is your Achilles heel going into this season? Whether or not that it's a position group, whether or not that it's just strength of schedule. Super, super curious to hear that.
Well, 2 things. Number 1 is the offensive line, of course.
Okay.
Number 2, this is a wild card. I don't know yet. We just got to wait to see. But our offense in general. I did a show last night on my channel where I played one of our best games of the season offensively. how easy it was, how the defense we played against just gave us everything wide open middle of the field. And then you look at San Francisco and Chargers and how they played us later in the season, gave us absolutely nothing. And our offense has been figured out. I mean, there were games where they were all over everything we tried to do, and those same plays were so easy early in the season, wide open. But it's just a matter of the scheme. People look at us like, oh, we were cooking early on. We weren't cooking. The defenses just didn't play us right. It's that simple. Like a lot of teams, they think that when things are going well, it's just automatically their execution. When in reality, sometimes it's just the other team doesn't have the right game plan against you. And when we ran into those teams later in the season, they had the perfect game plan for our system. And we had some struggle games. So that was the norm late in the season. So coming into a new season, what if teams have our number? Are we about to have other plays and a new, and I know it's not going to be a new system, but what are we going to do in that regards? Are we about to make some big adjustments? Because I believe the league just really figured us out.
But now
some of the league, Buffalo still hasn't for some reason.
Yeah. I knew a statement like that was coming in. And so we've heard this like right around the rumor mill and everything along those lines. Like, we know that you're not the biggest supporter of Tua. I know that you would love to explore other options, but is the whole like he's a one read guy only and afterwards he's completely lost? Is that, from what you have seen in film, factual, or where's your head there?
It's a combination. Let me not say it's factual, and because there's a lot of circumstance that involves it.
Yeah.
Tua loves going to his first read. The system is designed for him to go to his first read, but there's also plays where he has options. Like he'll read a linebacker and say, if the linebacker goes to the flat, I throw it to the slant. If the linebacker stays still, I throw it in the flat. So that's as basic as offense as it gets, but it's a read, right?
Yeah.
It's so people look at that and look at the progressions. That's like the elementary. That's the elementary basis of it. But I would say about 90% of the time, that's what he is. 10% of the time, on a rare occasion, you'll see him get off of a first read, but the indicator has to be there right away. Like if he wants to go in the middle of the field on a deep end, he's reading the safety from the beginning of the play. And if the safety is closing the middle of the field, he gets off of it. So it's not as if like he's going receiver to receiver to receiver to receiver. He's looking for those one read indicators to tell him if I'm coming here or not. But a lot of times, unfortunately, when teams take away the first read, it's not good. It's just not good.
Okay.
And a lot of people, and another thing that people think that he's going through progressions is because he's deadly with mechanics. Okay. He'll hike the ball, look left, stare at the safety, but a player will be running that way. Then he'll turn right and fire it. And they'll like, look, he went to the first progression, then the second. He never went to the first. He was just mechanically looking off the safety because he knew where he was trying to go, and he wanted to try to free that lane up. But, people will say that's a progression. So, and not to say he never does, though, because I saw on film yesterday in that game, like 2 plays where he went to the first read. It got close. He went to the second, and threw the ball. But going to a third and fourth, that's like 2%.
Got it. And so nothing has to do with the offensive line. You think that's Tua exclusively, or do you think it's also and this is the offensive line too?
I went over the film of the Chargers game yesterday, and you talk about some of the best protection you can have in the first half, and it was just a disaster. I mean, and the Chargers bottled us up, but then there was times they were giving us huge chunk plays, but he never went there. He would look and he would go for the hard contested pass, which was the first read, instead of the wide open guy on the wheel route, the wide open guy in the flat, the wide open guy in the seam. So, like when you study the film and you see these things, you have a lot of concern.
Yeah.
But when you play a Lions defense missing their starting safety and they leave everybody who catches the ball doesn't have a defender within 8 feet of them, people are like, oh, look, told you he can do it when he's healthy. The Lions gave you everything. So it's, as a real Dolphins fan that's objective about my team, I don't hold back just because he's our quarterback. We need to know what we have if we have a true franchise guy. He has an arm that can deliver the ball in a spot, and McDaniel's doing all he can to showcase that, which he's doing a good job at. But there's always going to be limitations, and depending on who you play and how they play us, it can really bite us. And my whole thing is I don't like wasting time.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can play 6-7 teams a year that play all that cushion zone and you can eat them up and look like a NFL quarterback. But when the rubber meets the road, the one team or the 2 teams or the 3 teams you play in the playoffs, they're going to shut it down because they're going to play you to your weakness. And that's kind of what typically happens to him. He is a bad quarterback in December.
Got it.
So it is what it is.
As well, y'all definitely have like a loaded defense, great offensive weapons, obviously fastest wide receiving core in the entire league. What would be your option? It sounds like that. You'd be ready to move on from him now. Would it be like a Caleb Williams next year? Say, for example, he falls. Would it be hitting free agency?
Nope. You picked up Tua's 5th-year option.
Yeah.
Even if Tua is trash this year, how can you get off of it? It's not like a Baker Mayfield situation. Nobody wants to take him because of the injuries and bad play. If he has bad play this year, you can't get off of him. This is not the same as Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, at least he didn't have the injury bug like this.
Yeah.
So a team like Atlanta or whatever, Carolina, they'll take a shot. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But in Baker Mayfield's 5th-year option was $19 million, and they were able to trade him. But Tua, you ain't gonna be able to trade him, and so you're stuck with him for 2 years. And it is what it is. I know you want to hear that, so it is what it is.
And so you're sitting there just crossing your fingers, just hoping that he'll be able to play a full season and just take a giant step into 2020.
Yeah, but for me, it has nothing to do with the injuries. You're automatically hoping that he's gonna eventually start having healthy seasons, but me, it's more play on the field. Everybody ignores that when he's healthy, he's a great quarterback. Then what happened in December? He was healthy versus the 49ers.
Yeah.
He was healthy versus the Chargers. You see what I'm saying? He was healthy versus Green Bay and all this concussion stuff, a bunch of crap. He was healthy versus Buffalo. No, he actually played decent versus y'all because y'all trash. So.
I knew it was coming. Oh, man. No, man. I think it's definitely interesting. 12-5 should be an absolute heavy hitter. Right before I let you go, you have anything you got to say to the Bills Mafia?
Man, this is going to be a fun season. This is going to be a very great competitive season. I look forward to the matchups, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, man, your team, the Bills are built the right way to keep competing, and we just keep getting better to try to close that gap. And now we got another test to see if it's closed and we've surpassed it, or if we're still back in the dump. So it'll be very interesting this year. But it's going to be interesting to see how we all do versus the NFC East. So I can't wait to see.
Yeah, something tells me that might be the deciding factor.
It will.
At the end of the day. But hey, man, listen, once again, it's always a pleasure having you on, and we'll see you next time. We'll see you Wednesday night.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Bills Mafia. See you soon.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it. That was TD Finns Talk right there. Very, very good friend of mine on the AFC East Roundtable. We go live every single Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST. Myself, Richie, and then also Tyson, also known as Master at Work. So say, for example, you were unfamiliar with that show, definitely go on ahead and look it up on YouTube search. It is indeed a very interesting show. Now, we do still have a couple of things on the agenda. The Buffalo Bills Stadium is officially official, and they ended up having this interview with the COO of the construction company and the overall project in general, answering a couple of more questions of what we need to look at. And that's going to be our next story. And then afterwards, we're going to welcome my buddy Derek from Bring the Juice podcast, a Colts YouTuber that is going to discuss the fact that Andrew Luck, after 4 to 5 years, has been being tampered with once again by, you guessed it, the Washington Commanders. He's going to be here, I would say, within the next 15 to 20 minutes. But before we dive into the Bills story, I do need to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor, and then that just so happens to be the Manta sleep mask. Ladies and gentlemen, Mother's Day is coming right now, and once I partner with Manta, they gave me 2 of these things, right? And not only does it help me out, like really being able to sort of take the edge off, completely blind myself at night so I can really get into that REM sleep situation. I literally gave it to my mom when she was over here the other night for dinner. I haven't gotten it back. I really haven't gotten it back. This thing right here is key when it comes into making sure that you get the most out of your sleep. I think I was reading somewhere that you really need like a solid 4 to 5 hours of REM sleep to really wake up and like really be as productive as humanly possible. This mask right here, man, I'm not going to lie to you, especially on the nap side of things, this thing is just absolutely an incredible investment. So say, for example, that you want to improve your own sleep, you're super sensitive to any sort of light, and you're not really much of a nap guy, then this is it. And like I said, they have a bunch of colors that would fit with the stereotypical mother, pink, purple, right? And it really helps them out. I'm sure you've heard your mom always say, I'm just so tired. I'm just so tired of your bullshit, Preston. Okay? I don't even know. But anyway, definitely go on ahead and check out the Manta sleep mask. Definitely always a fantastic thing. Now, what I did want to do is that we actually have our guests in the waiting room as of right now to discuss a little bit more about the Washington Commanders tampering with Andrew Luck. Dude ended up going on ahead, and he's been retired for quite some time, right? He's been retired for quite some time. It's been about 4 to 5 years at this point, but then literally news today just broke that the Washington Commanders were tampering with him last year. And we had no idea about this until this morning when Jim Irsay, owner of the Indianapolis Colts, tweeted this out saying, if any NFL team attempted to contact Andrew Luck or any associate of him to play for their franchise, it would be a clear violation of the league's tampering policy. So he sent out the message, shot across the world, and will the Commanders see any issues with that? So to expand a bit further on that, we have to bring my good friend, Derek from Bring the Juice podcast. What's going on, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, man. What's up, dude? Hey, it has been a while, and yeah, definitely some very interesting news today.
Yeah. First off, I do want to unpack that, but it's been a second since we caught up. I mean, we have Anthony Richardson in there. I saw an interview today that he hasn't explored the city much outside of Walgreens. But I mean, how you feeling about the Colts, man?
I mean, it's the Midwest. There's not much more to it than Walgreens, so that's about it. But yeah, man. Hey, I'm happy with the draft that the Indianapolis Colts got. Very excited about the future of this franchise. Now the Indianapolis Colts, for the first time in pretty much almost 5 years now, after obviously the guy that we're about to talk about had retired.
Yeah.
Now the Indianapolis Colts, instead of trying to put a Band-Aid on the situation at quarterback, they finally have gotten the guy who they think for the next 10, 15 years can be the franchise guy with their new coach. And, they nailed the draft. I absolutely loved it. I think, me personally, I think the Indianapolis Colts, when you look at it from a positional value standpoint, had the best draft of anyone in the league. So I'm very happy with it. I love the players that we got. And, now it's just a waiting game on how Anthony Richardson actually looks going into the season.
Now, it sounds like you're not much of a Gardner Minshew believer as far as him being.
Nah.
No?
I love Gardner Minshew. I love the swag that he brings, but
yeah,
I think the golden days of what he did in Jacksonville, I think, is behind him. I think so.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that I am a huge Minshew fan. Love the stash. I like rock the stash a little bit during the draft. It's funny because I only got compliments from dudes, right? Like, yo, man, sick ass stash. And then every girl in my life like said I either looked like a pedo or looked like I wasn't allowed within 20 feet of a Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh my
So
God, dude.
I had to get rid of it.
terrible.
I mean, I think that a stash like only applies for like a certain sort of dude. I tried it. It didn't work out. But
Yeah.
here we are. I am very excited about Anthony Richardson as well. But the reason I wanted to talk to you today is because I was a bit confused as into how exactly this entire, like how much the Colts are still involved with that contract. How is it structured? So he still technically like had like a contract existing with the Colts when he did retire. Is there an expiration date to that where he becomes a free agent, or say that he were to come to the league, that the Colts still have rights to him for the remainder of that said contract that was in place? What does that look like? Was hoping to have that clarified for the audience here.
Yeah, so I looked it up as well, and there is no expiration date on that. Jim Irsay or whoever owns the Colts can pretty much hold the rights to that contract for the remainder of Andrew Luck's life if they wanted to, because, of how he left and everything else of that nature. Unless, Andrew decided to come back and then, things would work out. But yeah, that contract does not have an expiration date due to the fact of him wanting to retire, but the Indianapolis Colts could hold on to that contract and just pay Andrew a set amount of money that's required of that contract, but still keep the rights to it. So yeah, as long as Andrew Luck is still physically capable of playing football, my guess is the Indianapolis Colts will probably hold on to that contract until they believe Andrew Luck is no longer a threat to return to the league, is my guess.
Got it. I mean, sitting at 33 years old, I mean, what's your take on that? And so you think this guy can come back, just do a full like sort of training camp and be the same Andrew Luck from what you remember? I mean, I feel bad. Last couple of times I've had you on, we were talking about Andrew Luck, and I feel like I'm just like ripping old wounds up.
Nah.
Because I would, dude, like I would probably have to see a therapist if Josh Allen like went up to the podium and said that he was retiring next year at training camp. I would probably have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's old news to me now. I know some people like have, a severe emotional connection still, but I've kind of moved past it. It's been enough years. I'm over it. But no, I don't think I think there is less than a 0% chance that Andrew Luck returns to the NFL because he said it. And if anyone had listened to the interview that ESPN had with him just a few months back, everyone would know Andrew Luck is happy where he's at, being a stay-at-home dad with his daughter, doing the things that he does, and still lives, ironically enough, still only lives about 15 minutes away from the Colts practice facility, which is kind of funny to think about.
Man.
But he loves retired life, man. He's so happy with what he's got going on right now, exploring other things, putting his mind at ease. I think there's almost no chance that Andrew Luck ever considers coming back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that I would be on the same sort of mindset on that end. But I mean, I suppose the Commanders would be the Commanders. I mean, I'm not even sure because I did see like a lot of the responses. Would you say that Irsay is like a relatively outspoken owner in the NFL? Like somebody that like normally just like rips out shots like that? Or
I think
we're in the spectrum of Jerry Jones. And
he doesn't normally do that, but if you've been keeping up with it, you would have known that. Remember when the Commanders were talking about Dan Snyder leaving and selling the team, and then there was those allegations that came out about Dan Snyder and how he was like covering some illegal stuff up. Jim Irsay was the most outspoken guy. He was the one that said, we cannot overturn this. We have to take everything into consideration, and we have to make sure that Dan Snyder is held accountable if in fact he's the actually did this stuff. We can't turn a blind eye. So I mean, he's not outspoken on a lot of issues in the NFL. He is at times, but specifically with the Commanders thing, I mean, that was huge. So obviously this is another piece of the Dan Snyder BS that's been following him for a while now. So it doesn't surprise me that Jim Irsay would tweet something like this, because it's another subtle shot at Dan Snyder on his way out of the building. So
that's hysterical. And like you almost have to ask yourself as well, like, would the Commanders still suffer a punishment from the wrongdoings of their previous owner? I would say yes, just because I feel like the NFL has absolutely destroyed the Dolphins when it came into just having a brief conversation with Tom Brady. So if there's any truth to this, this is going to be, it's going to be wild.
I mean, I can look at it, and I know obviously the ESPN report was the one that broke the news that the Commanders may have talked with him. I mean, Stephen Holder, who's the Indianapolis Colts beat writer at ESPN, even elaborated on Jim Irsay's tweet. He even mentioned that he was referencing to the Commanders reaching out in 2022 to a third party to assess Andrew Luck's interest in coming out of retirement. So it obviously went nowhere, said he's done playing. But if the report is true that the Commanders did, in fact, reach out to someone in Andrew Luck's group about even asking if he wants to come back, then yeah, that's technically tampering. I had to look it up. I had to go look at it this morning just to make sure. But yeah, it said even contacting him just about the idea of playing is against tampering laws. So, I mean, yeah, if the Colts might decide to, return to that. They may potentially want to, see if that went further. And if they did, Commanders would, might get the same punishment as what the Miami Dolphins did.
As the Dolphins, man. I mean, I feel like that poor team just can't get a break. You know what I mean? Snyder just keeps screwing them from beyond the grave.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, man, listen, I really appreciate you coming on. Right before I let you go, what's going on with Bring the Juice podcast right now, right during the off season? Sure, everyone would love to hear what you guys got planned.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we're just obviously going into the off-season content, trying to stay busy. Just hit 16K on YouTube, so we're trying to keep it growing. And we are trying to build our TikTok, actually. So if anyone wants to follow us on TikTok, we greatly would appreciate that as well. Trying a new thing there, but we're just doing more on the content now, trying to stay busy, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, dude.
And so I'll follow y'all on TikTok, man. I love TikTok. It's one of my favorite apps right now. It's always a good thing. But hey, man, listen, I definitely appreciate you coming on. Definitely cleared up a lot of things about really like how much the Colts have Andrew Luck by the balls for the next couple of years, at least until he is physically unable to perform. Derek, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you, man.
See ya. No, seriously, guys, definitely go check out his content over at Bring the Juice podcast. I absolutely love hearing from other fans when it comes to NFL news, right? I mean, yes, I follow Good Morning Football, some shows here and there, but when it comes to like in-depth analysis of somebody's team that it's just the fan being passionate, I check them out. Great content. I tagged him in the description. If you wanted to check out his stuff, go show him some love. They do a great job over at Bring the Juice podcasts. Last and final story of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, the Buffalo Bills Stadium is officially official. News dropped last Thursday where there are absolutely no question marks. The Bills are never going to leave Buffalo. There's no fight with the state anymore about budgeting, about nothing. Construction is set to be complete. Well, start at least immediately, which is absolutely insane. I'm not sure about you guys, but I look at all of these pictures all the time, and I mean, I'm just damn salivating. Absolutely salivating when it comes down into it. Now, there were still some questions about what exactly happened during some of these like backroom deals, everything along those lines. So they ended up actually interviewing the COO of the project by himself. And I pulled out a couple of questions that were asked that I think might be relatively interesting. So starting off, like one of the biggest things is that, hey, like what does this look like? Like what exactly are we going to be witnessing outside of the Ralph, right? Like how is this going to be different? And literally as soon as when he was asked about that, it looks like a stacked design. It's definitely intimate, intense to the action, will be for our fans, but there's still some seat locations that are, in my opinion, the best seats in the NFL to watch a game. I mean, further reading goes into it saying that like even the nosebleeds are going to be right on top of the stadium. It's going to be great seats live into the action. And I mean, really just looking over the overall design of this entire stadium, yes, I know we all wanted the dome. I wanted the dome. Some of you didn't. But I still think that this is going to help out with the Bills tremendously when it comes into some of these like hard weather situations. Like literally like that cover that goes over those top stands. Number one, that's going to protect fans from the elements. And it's also going to like really block the wind a little bit and even some massive precipitation unless that it's literally raining or snowing straight down, no wind. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I can't think of a single winter day in my entire life and experience in Buffalo, New York, where there wasn't wind accompanied with any sort of rain or snow going into it. So I think this is a great design. I absolutely love it. I love the whole seat situation that he has in place. I feel like no one's going to be upset about it as well. As far as the renderings, apparently he's saying that it's about as factual as possible. There might be a couple of things within the construction process that might alter it, but very, very excited about how that works out. And then apparently they were just talking about some of the darker days during the negotiations where it got very heavy against the Pagulas and then also the Buffalo Bills organization. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have. This is the Buffalo Bills Stadium. I cannot be happier going into it. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and hit the chat real fast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You Know You're Right comes in and says, are the Bills for sale due to the Kim Pegula's condition? So this is what I will say. Definitely prayers up to Kim and the family. I know that she's going through something very difficult. The media has really not been involved in it or reporting on it as of much. But no, the Buffalo Bills are without a doubt not for sale, particularly because we ended up signing a 30-year lease with Erie County on that brand new stadium that is currently being constructed. That was something, I'm not going to lie to you, that really made myself and many other Bills fans almost piss themselves on a regular basis. It was a very hard time, but thank God the Buffalo Bills ended up, securing that stadium. And then I think Terry as well, her husband, wouldn't do that just in that honor. Has a long family by itself. Bills are absolutely here for good. So we have the delusional Patriots fan saying, did Buffalo design it so it can snow only on the visitor's side? Oh, man, I think that was a knock from when we were complaining about the sun in the Miami sort of situation. No, I think that it should be fair. Like not unless that – and so the visitor side faces the lake, and so the wind's coming off of that. That would be absolutely hysterical if that was the case. It's home field advantage for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Home field advantage for a reason. Absolutely love it. We have You Know You're Right saying, thank God Buffalo Bills are not for sale. No way, man. No way. We're good. We're staying in Buffalo for the rest of our natural lives. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Don Mafia Show live edition. I am going live every single Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. EST. I am going to be giving you the most breaking news going across the NFL. I'm going to be bringing on a bunch of different NFL YouTubers to expand further on their teams, what they're looking for. So if you are not subscribed already, make sure you are. Smash that like button and turn on those notifications, because you will see me live every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. EST. Feel free to tweet me as well of things that you would like me to cover on a particular show. Definitely always exciting. And last but not least, check out my memberships that are listed below this video where you can join, and I will give you a bunch of super, super cool perks. This is the off season. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we stay entertained, and I'm going to do my part on that. Thank you so much, guys. And before I let you go, better always remember, let's go Buffalo.